Right now, NOPD detectives are on the scene of a homicide in New Orleans East. Cops say a man was shot to death.
It's devastating, but yet I'm not shocked by the fact that guns have become so detrimental to our existence.
NOPD starting off their day with another shooting investigation. This incident taking place at the intersection of Chef Mentor Highway.
There's craziness that's going on in our world. I don't know, Doc. I don't see it getting better. I'm kind of losing the hope, and I'm a pastor.
Spate of violence continued today with a murder in New Orleans East. A man was killed in a shooting that ended near Chef Mentor.
On June 15th, Lenton Vanburen came into this world in New Orleans, the Wild Wild East to be exact. A section of the city where the rules ain't written down, but everybody still follow them. The code is simple: survive, protect your name, and never fold. From the jump, Linton wasn't looking for a way out. He was getting ready to stake his claim in the dirt. New Orleans East ain't soft, and Linton, he ain't never been soft either. Our other kids were playing ball or dreaming on rap deals. Linton was in the mix early. Ain't no excuses. This ain't no misunderstood you tell. This is the rise of a stone cold menace who ain't back down from nothing and ain't care who got in his way. By the time he was 18, Linton wasn't just floating around. His name was already heating up in the streets and lighting up on police scanners. That ain't no coincidence. That's a result of action, bold, reckless, and loud. Then came July 29th, 2016. That day, Linton didn't just step out his door. He made a statement. Gunshots rang out at the intersection of Roger Drive and Wright Road, just a few miles from his stomping grounds. Word on the block moved fast. Police showed up to an active scene. Shell casings, confusions, and folks scattered like roaches when the lights came on. Nobody died that day, but that ain't mean it wasn't serious. Charges came quick. Aggravated battery by shooting, aggravated assault with a firearm. They had that boy Linton in their sights, and then they wasn't guessing. His rep was already built off fear and chaos. Now the law was building their case off cold evidence. He went ghost for 2 days, but he ain't disappeared. July 31st, 2016, the SWAT team touched down heavy on the 4500 block of Schindler Drive. Cops came with armor and orders, and they ain't show up just to talk. They was looking for Linton, and they found him. Dude was hiding in an attic upstairs from a baby sleeping in the crib. Whole house was hot, tension thick, but the takedown came clean. No shots, no casualties, just a steel pair of cuffs and sirens louder than a drum line. He ain't go quietly though. That arrest added a whole new stack of charges. 2 counts of aggravated assault with a firearm, 3 counts of false imprisonment, 1 count of illegal discharge of a weapon, 1 count of felon in possession of a firearm, and 1 count of resisting arrest. This wasn't a one-off mistake. This was calculated street-level warfare. Linton didn't just ride with a gun, he used it, brandished it, and trapped folks down in the process. False imprisonment ain't just something they slap on anybody. That means folks was locked inside a situation they couldn't escape from. That ain't sloppy, that's stone cold control. Right now, the justice system had him, but he wasn't done yet. Time passed. Linton sat behind bars, though with charges, played the court game. But on the outside, the name still meant something. His story didn't slow, it just paused. Then came November 29th, 2021. Different year, same energy. Linton wasn't laying low. He was still moving, still operating, still bringing that same brand of raw violence to the pavement. At 8:02 a.m., police got a call. Aggravated battery by shooting again. Location, the 9700 block of Chef Mentor Highway, right there in the east. When they showed up, it wasn't a battery no more. It was a body. The victim had been shot dead, and the scene was locked off. EMS didn't have a chance. He was pronounced dead on site. That's how clean and quick the hit went down.
Well, a man was shot and killed in New Orleans East this morning. New Orleans police say it happened on Chef Highway near Reed Boulevard. They told us around 8:30 a.m. officers found a man who'd been shot. He died at the scene. No suspects have yet been named.
Linton, he ain't covered his tracks well enough this time. NOPD's Homicide unit started their dig, and they dug straight back to him. The puzzle pieces fell in place fast. The motive might have been cloudy, but the identity wasn't. Cops got their man, Lenton Vanburen, positively identified as the trigger man. They pulled a warrant for second-degree murder, no questions asked. But here's the kicker. Linton wasn't on the run this time. They ain't have to knock on doors or chase him through alleyways. See, he was already in custody, locked up again, picked up just a couple of weeks earlier on December the 3rd, 2021 for an armed robbery in the 1200 block of North Claiborne Avenue. Yeah, while still fresh off serious charges from 2016, this man out here robbing folks again, keeping the same heat, bringing the same pressure to the streets. He ain't stopped. He ain't chill. He escalated, went from aggravated assault to armed robbery, then straight to homicide, all before the calendar flipped to 2022. By the time the calendar flipped to December 2021, Lenton Vanburen was back in the Orleans Parish Justice Center. The system knew him well by now. He was sitting behind bars on armed robbery charges, snatched up just 2 weeks after a man got dropped off on Chapman Highway. But what he didn't know was that the walls were closing in, tighter than ever. December 16, 2021, that's the date the game shifted. NOPD dropped a fresh case file on Linton's name. The investigation into that November 29 body had wrapped, and they came out with receipts. Full, clear, confirmed. NOPD homicide detectives linked it all back to one man, Lenton Vanburen. A warrant got written up, signed off, and delivered. Charge, second-degree murder. That was no accident. No beef that spun out of control. Second-degree murder means you meant that. You wanted blood, and you took it. No parole date gonna wipe that clean. That's the kind of move that gets you boxed up for life. And he wasn't walking the streets when they hit him with that murder charge. Like clockwork, he was already locked for that December 3rd armed robbery. Dude couldn't stay out the system long enough to even pretend to move different. 12 didn't have to do a takedown or hunt him through the city this time. They just rebooked him, added a whole new weight to his jacket. Now it wasn't just attempted crimes, it was a confirmed body. Murder on top of robbery, robbery on top of gun charges on top of SWAT standoff. That's what you call stacking felonies like poker chips. And that second-degree murder charge, it ain't going nowhere. Prosecutors eat off that. That's the type of case they put in front of the line. Make an example out of you. They had the victim, they had the gunshot wound, they had the time, the place, the body, and now they had the name, Lenton Vanburen. It's not sugar-coated. This ain't a man who slipped up. This was a pattern, a steady stream of chaos left in his wake. Shootings, standoffs, lockdowns. He wasn't trying to disappear. He was out here doing what he wanted, how he wanted, and letting the chips fall wherever. That's what makes this story hit different. You don't see no remorse. You don't hear no apologies. You see intent. You see a man who picked the side, the violent side, and rolled with it till it came crashing down. Back on the streets, people was buzzing. When his name hit the murder rap, it wasn't shock, it was confirmation. Folks who knew him ain't blank. Linton had been moving grimy. Now the system just caught up to what the streets already knew. 12 wasn't begging for tips no more. They had what they needed, but they still put out the call, asking for the public to contact Detective Lucretia Gantner at the NOPD Homicide Unit if anybody had more dirt to drop. Some call it standard procedure, but the streets call it snitching. However, the core of the case was already locked in. From that point forward, Linton wasn't just another inmate. He was a name with a body on it. Not a rumor, not a maybe. A documented homicide. His file thick with ink, full of bad choices and worse consequences. And here's the truth. The city didn't breathe easier when he got taken down. It exhaled like a storm finally passed. Streets got a little quieter. One less live wire out there ready to spark off. But it don't mean it's over. This the kind of story that gets buried under newer headlines, fresher violence. Because when you live how you live, there's only two outcomes, the dirt or the cell. That boy Linton caught the cell. Once that second-degree murder charge hit Linton's file, it wasn't a debate no more. His life was no longer just about the streets. It was about the state now. And the state don't play fair, especially not when there's a body involved. He didn't fight no war in silence. Every step he took, Every crime he caught, every charge that stacked, it painted a clear picture. This was no misunderstood youth. This was a career criminal in full motion. He didn't dabble. He lived it. The robbery, the weapons, the false imprisonment. That's not the type of stuff you accidentally fall into. That's a man moving with force, moving with full knowledge of what he was bringing. In December 2021, the full weight of Linton's file was laid out. This man had a full criminal timeline stacked with charges like trophies, aggravated battery by shooting, aggravated assault with a firearm, false imprisonment, illegal discharge of a firearm, felon in possession of a firearm, resisting arrest, armed robbery, and now second-degree murder. That ain't a rap sheet, that's a resume of destruction. Ain't no halfway in that lineup. That's deep in criminality. That's law enforcement's nightmare turned real. They ain't need surveillance footage to paint the picture. The case against Linton was built off real-time chaos. Every charge was tied to a moment where somebody's life got upended. Like I said earlier, they found that boy in an attic, letting their baby sleep under his feet while police stormed the crib. That moment alone speaks volume. The way the system moved on Linton, it was methodical, no rush, no mistakes. They watched him spin his whole web and let the walls close in. He ain't catch one beef, he caught multiple felonies over a period of years in different hoods with different charges and different weapons. And what do all those threads have in common? Violence. He chose the path. He built his rep. And now he gonna live in the cage that came with that life. From armed robbery on North Claiborne to a man left dead on shelf, to hiding from SWAT in the attic with an infant just below his feet. This wasn't random chaos. This was consistent, calculated criminal energy. And when you find a slip, they ain't just coming for you on no one case. That's what violence leaves behind. Not just bodies, but memory scars. And Linton left behind plenty. So now his legacy, it ain't street stripes, it ain't dominance, it's paperwork, case numbers, felonies, a life sentence waiting in the wings. And that's how it ends. Not with applause, not with a bang, with a name, Lenton J. Vanburen. Everybody life he chose in a system that don't let go.